He said it in a closed room to his own officers. The most senior Israeli commander in the West Bank, boasting that his forces are killing Palestinians at levels not seen since 1967. He called it a strategy. He said fear is why there's no uprising. It was never meant to leave that room, or was it? If someone comes to kill you, kill them first, is the norm in the Middle East. So we're killing like we haven't killed since 1967. These are the words of Major General Avi Bluth, the most senior Israeli officer in the occupied West Bank, the head of the army's central command. They were delivered inside a private military briefing and reported by the Israeli newspaper Haaretz on May 4th. He said it himself in a closed room to his own people, and now the whole world can hear it. The remarks were not made for the press. They were boasting of their forces used for killing Palestinians at levels not seen since 1967. The year matters. 1967 is when Israel launched a multi-front war on neighboring countries, seized the West Bank, and began what became a decades-long military occupation. Now, nearly 60 years on, his own commander is treating that benchmark as something to measure up to. Bluth did not simply confirm the scale of the killing, he defended it, and he explained exactly how it works on the ground. Under his orders, soldiers are permitted to shoot Palestinians below the knee when they approach or attempt to cross the separation barrier. He had a name for those left behind.
Today, there are many limping memorials in Palestinian villages of those who tried to infiltrate and got hit, so there is a price that is paid.
Bluth also admitted, without apparent discomfort, that the army applies different rules depending on who is throwing stones. Palestinians who throw stones at troops are fired upon. In 2025 alone, 42 were killed for it, an act Bluth described as terrorism. Jewish Israelis who do the same are handled differently. Bluth claimed his forces had killed 1,500 Palestinians over 3 years, describing all of them as militants. The UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs counts 1,081 Palestinians killed in the West Bank and occupied East Jerusalem since October 7, 2023, among them at least 235 children. Bluth questioned the recurrence of the new Intifada, framing the absence of mass Palestinian resistance as proof that the strategy was working. His own answer was blunt: fear.
We killed 1,500 terrorists over 3 years. So how is there no Intifada? Why aren't they taking to the streets? Why is the Palestinian public indifferent? Why are there no disturbances? Soldiers firing at Jews has profound societal consequences. Yes, there is a certain discrimination.
Himself a settler, Bluth has commanded the West Bank since 2024. His remarks have already drawn backlash inside Israel. Far-right Knesset member Limor Son Har-Melech called on Defense Minister Israel Katz to remove him from his post, not for what he said about killing Palestinians, but because she felt he had been insufficiently supportive of settler militias. Across the West Bank, tension is building. Raids continue, clashes intensify, anger grows, and every operation carries the risk of a wider eruption. Deep inside a closed military forum, one of Israel's most senior commanders said what few in government dare to: that settlers are terrorizing Palestinians, that the West Bank is a pot about to boil over, and that the miracle keeping it from doing so is running out. Major General Avi Bluth, head of the IDF's Central Command, did not mince words when he addressed the gathering. Bluth called settler attacks on Palestinians what they are: Jewish terrorism, and warned that Palestinian restraint in the face of daily violence was not a permanent condition.
When houses are burned while their occupants are inside, it's called Jewish terrorism. It's almost a miracle that the Palestinians are still indifferent to the phenomenon. They won't remain indifferent indefinitely.
Bluth had already taken his concerns to the top, briefing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Security Cabinet on what he saw as a slow-burning crisis in the West Bank. Palestinian terror levels are low, he told them, but the calm is deceptive. Settlers wounded in so-called price tag attacks, extremist Jewish reprisals against Palestinians, had gone on to carry out attacks of their own, cause and effect playing out in real time. The men driving this violence in Bluth's telling are not hardened militants. They are fringe anarchist youth from wildcat outposts, uncoordinated with the state, convinced they are heroes. He met some of them and was not impressed.
Is that deterrence? It's ridiculous because they went into another village. I speak with them, and they aren't particularly polite people. They tell me, we're the heroes of David. All of Israel's deterrence is thanks to us. This is delusional. You have to meet these people yourself. They are not at a high level. They are causing unimaginable damage to Israel and to the Zionist project.
Then came the courts. Over 3 nights in January, more than 100 settlers burned houses and vehicles across Palestinian villages. 5 were caught. A judge gave them 3 days of house arrest. Within 72 hours, they were out and attacking border police.
These people don't see Arabs as human beings and think it's possible to burn people alive, to burn houses down with their occupants inside. And unfortunately, they do this frequently. They've decided they are erasing the shame of the Oslo Accords. It's a disgrace to the Jewish people. I'm quite ashamed of this whole thing.
Bluth also mentioned an incident in which settlers burned IDF identification equipment in the settlement of Beit El to avoid being identified while on their way to torch Palestinian homes in the nearby village of Turmus Ayya.
They burned security equipment meant to protect against terrorists coming out against them. So who exactly were they taking revenge on?
Bluth reserved particular frustration for Defense Minister Israel Katz's decision to ban administrative detention for Jewish suspects, a move he said had left the military without the tools it needed. The IDF has itself faced repeated accusations of standing by during settler attacks, and in some cases of soldiers participating. Bluth acknowledged as much. The army, he said, does not collect intelligence on Israeli citizens, only Palestinians. The northern Israeli town of Kiryat Shmona has lost nearly half its population since October 7th, 2023. Israeli media figures show the town, once home to 26,000 settlers, now holds around 12,000, with thousands more reportedly weighing whether to leave the land they say was promised to them. The hollowing out of Kiryat Shmona tells a wider story. As of April 29th, Israel's health ministry says 8,513 people have been wounded since the launch of Operation Roar of the Lion, with 612 of those injuries recorded on the northern front bordering Lebanon. 16 new cases were reported in the 24 hours prior to the ministry's update. The IDF Chief of Staff Ayal Zamir visited troops stationed inside southern Lebanon and made clear the military's position.
On the combat front, there is no ceasefire. You continue to fight to remove direct and indirect threats from the northern communities, to thwart terror infrastructure, to locate and kill terrorists.
Zamir added that Israeli forces would not withdraw from the security buffer zone in southern Lebanon until what he called long-term security for northern Israeli communities is in place. The ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, brokered by Washington and in effect since midnight local time in Lebanon and Israel on April 17th, was extended for 3 weeks on April 24th. Cross-border fire has continued regardless. Reports suggest that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asked the US President Donald Trump to put a 2 to 3 week deadline on peace talks with Beirut, and to greenlight a large-scale offensive if those talks collapse. Trump reportedly told Netanyahu to restrain himself, warning against any action that could unravel the ceasefire.
I told Netanyahu that Israel must attack Hezbollah more surgically inside of Lebanon, because knocking down buildings is too terrible and makes Israel look bad.
Trump, meanwhile, took aim at Tehran directly, blaming both Iran and Hezbollah for what he called the ruination of Lebanon, while leaving the door open for the country's recovery.
When Iran gets taken out, Hezbollah automatically gets taken out.
On the other hand, the Lebanese caught in the middle of a war that is not even theirs do not have the option of leaving. For the country's 1.24 million people now facing food insecurity in the months ahead, the ceasefire is a matter of life and death.